G'day YouTube, warbles on a lot here, where yesterday I docked this round, as we call them, off a 12-inch minimum diameter. Oopsie, I lied, call that 9 inches minimum diameter, 12 inches maximum diameter, yellow box log. And then working by hand, I ripped the outside off the log, and then this slab was ripped clear, and yeah, the birdies have passed their opinion on the job, and it's a fair opinion too, because if you look at the parallel chainsaw tooth marks, you'll appreciate the fact that around here the birds are used to much neater stuff coming off my saw, because normally when I want flat square timber I can use my Rip King slide guide and guide bar and cover plate, none of which will fit on the new 540 IXP. So therefore this is a little bit more messy perhaps than the craftsmanship to which the birdies have become accustomed. Therefore their expression of their low opinion of what a smooth cut this first one was not in the event. But you know, live and you learn. When you're used to using a guide rail, you don't get any better at hand cutting. So anyway, we have one docking cut, we have two what they call sleeper back cuts to take the round edges off, and we have one and a half half depth, or one's a full depth and one's a half depth ribbing cuts. "19 minutes, and the new chain had two file strokes at 16:19, went out 17:05, so 46 minutes of chainsawing ago the chain was last sharpened. I think we're probably going to be doing ourselves a favour, certainly doing the chain a favour, if we run the file through it again before setting out now. And I decided to do the job the long, slow, tedious way by trying to make a video of it, see how we go. So the idea is to just run the file gently across these teeth and sharpen them again before going out and asking them to do any more work. As you can see, the teeth were cutting pretty well despite not having been completely cleaned of a rock strike 47 minutes ago worth of operating time. So my theory is I'm going to give them 2 light strokes per tooth again. I'm not trying to completely remove the scratch marks from the top of the teeth downstream of the cutting edge, just to renew the cutting edge and get it to be sharp. And then bring that down to there. We've sharpened that tooth, and now we'll do that one. Not particularly intellectually difficult, but it has to be a painstaking ritual. Otherwise you get the teeth on one side sharper than the teeth on the other side, and the bloody thing cuts in circles and jams itself and overheats. And destroys the temper of the edges of the overheated blades. It sort of amounts to the idea that it doesn't matter how good the rest of your machine is, if the teeth are blunt, it's all a bloody waste of time, isn't it? Alright, now this one, there is nothing. Is that one or that one? Yeah, there's nothing there for it to rest on. This guide has nothing there because that's a joiner tooth. So, such is life, Ned Kelly. And you have to be sure you got this end clear of the saw. So whereas you can file into there, coming this way, that tooth, for example, easy to file. You have to have clearance. So it takes longer to sharpen one side of the saw than it does to sharpen the other side of the saw, because you've got a shorter length of bar that you can sharpen, like 4 teeth per adjustment one side and only 3 teeth per adjustment the other side. And because the size of the cut each tooth makes is relative to the dimensions at the start of the cut where the cutting edge is, you just have to resign yourself to the idea of filing sharp metal off teeth that don't, quote, need to be sharpened, in the sense that they're not blunt. They haven't hit a rock. But if you leave an unfiled tooth sticking up when all the teeth around it have been filed down, then that one sticking up tooth is going to bog down and overheat and stress out and leave score marks in the cut. And basically detracts from the smooth procedure of cutting through the wood. And if you get everything right, it seems to work out at being 5 cents per minute on a chain and 5 cents per minute for the bar lubricating oil to stop the chain from overheating. Yeah, I think we might be there. Right. Yes, we are. There you go. We now have a sharp chainsaw. And do you know why the file is still in its original plastic bag? Because it's a $66 file and the chains are only $43 a loop. So, at 10 cents per minute, that was $1.90 worth of chain and bar lubrication yesterday. While in theory, the electricities all come from the sun for free. But you see, owing to the winteriness of the season and the cloudiness of the skies, what's been actually happening is the little Gentrax has been doing what the solar panels fall short on. So the electricity to put in the battery with which to perform all that 19 minutes of chainsaw cuttery, that took 1.5 hours of generator time at 500 millilitres of 91 octane at about $1.95 per litre. So $1 for the fuel to make the electricity with, and $1.90, 10 cents a minute for 19 minutes for the chain and the bar lube to do that with. Do you know how long it would have taken me with a pocket knife or a handsaw? That might have taken me a week or more to get all that done. So it would. Hey, that's a rip saw, and that's a cross cut, and that there is another cross cut. And on a blue sky day, assuming the sun to be shining, the panels to be aligning, the amps going in to be 9ing, and a QC80 battery charger would take 4 hours to recharge that, 3.5, 4 hours, and the inverter would pull 8 amps for the 4 hours, and the solar panels would be able to cope with that. So to do 19 minutes work on the economy setting, so I was only using half the available power of the motor, because why waste current to increase the vibration, get the job done a little tiny bit faster, but dramatically reduce your ability to accurately guide the saw. Do it on economy, take a little bit longer, do a better job. 19 minutes worth of work on enough electricity that it takes 4 hours for the small battery charger to replace in the battery at the same rate that the solar panels can collect power from the sun on a blue sky day, put it into the batteries to feed the inverter to run the battery charger. And because of the winteriness of the sky, the generator using the big QC250 battery charger, it'll recharge the battery in 1.5 hours on half a litre of petrol for $1. And of course, the funny side of that story is that the chainsaw uses a litre an hour. So it would have used substantially the same amount of fuel. Only I would have had to buy 2-stroke oil for the chainsaw fuel and it would have been more expensive. Yeah, subjectively, I think I'm in front with the electric chainsaw, but I can't fit the Rip King guide rail to it. Oopsie. Not that I actually really want to do accurate ripsaw milling very often. I suppose I just have to go back to petrol when I do want to do the proper ripsaw milling. And we used, don't know if you can see in there. Oh, we'll find out how much we used. There we go. And I did spill a tiny bit, but not much. And I make it about 80 or 90 mils, which is surprisingly little. Right, so the saw's prepped. Logbooks are filled in. We've got the right battery from the right box, and it is the right battery. And it's full. So battery goes into the saw, and so now it's time, like an advertisement for a North Shore Baltic turnip. Oops, no, not a turnip, a swede.